Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So guys, in today's video we're going to be learning how to cut and sew a princess skirt that has a drape. If that's something you're interested in watching, do make sure to keep watching, and without further ado guys, let's get into the video. So I already have my fabric folded in four because I'll be cutting the front and the back together at once. So yeah, I just went ahead now and I added 2 inches of zipper allowance. Yeah, and the next thing I'll be to go ahead now and measure the length of the skirt. So for this skirt, the length I'll be making use of is 27. Yeah, but this skirt is going to have a band measuring 1.5 inches. So the first thing I'll be doing now will be to go ahead to my waistline there and mark 1/2 inches below my waistline, and then I'm going to go ahead now to rule a straight line there. And now to measure the full length of the skirt, I'm going to be placing that 1.5 inches for our band at that line there, and go ahead now to measure the length of the skirt being 27, and I added 1 inch for bending allowance, giving me 28. The next thing I'll be to go ahead now to insert my body's measurement. So yeah, before I mark out my hip line, I'm going to also place the 1.5 inches for our band on that line there and mark 9 inches there. Repeating it at the side also, and then just for it to give me a straight line. So I'm just going to go ahead and label that my hip line there, and the upper part being my waistline. The next thing I'll be to go ahead now to insert my hip measurement. So my hip measurement is 36 divided by 4 gives me 9. So I'm marking 9 there and adding 2 inches of allowance, giving me 11. For my waistline also, my waist measurement is 26 divided by 4 gives me 6.5. I'll be marking 6.5 there, adding 2 inches of allowance, giving me 8.5, and I'll be adding 1 inches for our dart, because yeah, this skirt is going to have a dart, so adding 1 inch is giving me 9.5. So yeah, once I measure my hip measurement together with my allowance, is measuring 11. So I'm just going to go ahead to the bottom of the skirt and minus 1 inch from that, giving me 10. So I'm marking 10 inches there. The next now will be to go ahead now and connect all those points together from the hip line to the from the waistline to the hip line and to the end of the skirt. But then I'm marking 2 inches above the hip line and below, because that part is going to be perfectly straight. And then I go ahead now to connect all those points together like so. The next now will be to go ahead and measure 1 inch below my waistline, and this is for the front pattern alone. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead now to measure out the 2 inches of allowance that we added, so I know where the line stops. So I'll be connecting that 1 inches we took below our waistline to the our actual body's measurement without the allowance. The next thing I'll be to go ahead now and cut this out. So yeah, before I cut out that curvy part, I'm going to go ahead now to mark my dart. So my dart is going to be 3.5 from the middle of the skirt. I'll be going ahead now to notch that for the front and for the back, but I'll be cutting it out first and then going ahead now to notch that part out, so that it's easier for me when I want to sew in our darts. And also for the front pattern also, I also go ahead now to notch our zipper allowance for the bottom and also for the top. And now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'll be to go ahead now and cut out our band and also the drape. So yeah, for the band, I just have a fabric here that's measuring 30 inches in length, because my waist measurement is 26, adding 2 inches of zipper allowance that I added, giving me 30, and it's measuring 4 inches in width. So when it's folded, it becomes 2, and when it's further sewn by 1/2 inches, we are left with the 1.5 inches that we need for our band. The next now will be to work on the drape. So for the drape, I'm just going to be taking my front pattern, because that's what I'm going to be using to measure the amount of fabric we need to make the drape effect on the skirt. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it up like so. So yeah, for the drape, one part of the drape is going to be going into the allowance for sewing, while the other parts where it flows down is just going to be stopping at the surface of the skirt. I just hope you get what I mean. So yeah, since I want the drape to be by the left part of the skirt, so yeah, at that left part there, I'm going to be removing the zipper, the main allowance that we added, which is 2 inches there. I'm going to go ahead now to measure that, giving us 20. So yeah, now this drape depends on the length of the drape you want to be working with. So for mine, I want it to be long up to my feet, like you've seen from the outcome. So I'm just going to go ahead now to measure my full length of my skirt. That my long skirt is measuring 41. Yeah, so 41 plus the 20 inches that we measured not long, giving me 61 or 60 plus. So yeah, at least you need a fabric measuring 65 or so, or at least 10 inches longer than your actual measurements that you just calculated. So yeah, this is the fabric I'll be making use of. So it's on fold now and it's measuring kind of 80, which is very excess, but I just made use of it because I'm going to be cutting it afterwards either ways. So yeah, and the width is measuring 17 and a half. So yeah, your fabric can be bigger than this. This depends on the amount of drape, how full you want the drape to be, the pleats on the skirt to be. So yeah, this is what I'm making use of. So I went ahead and also cut out the lining for the fabric, but you can see that the lining is half inches shorter than the main fabric for the front and for the back pattern also. The next now will be to go ahead now and place the lining and the fabric right sides facing each other and sew along the hem of the skirt like so. I'm also going to go ahead now to give it a side clean finish so that we have the top open to turn the skirt inside out. So after I was done, this is what it was looking like. I also went ahead to insert the dart. I did the same thing with the back pattern also. The next thing now will be to work on the drape. So for the drape, I'm going to go ahead now to hem the sides like so, double fold and sew along all through to the end. I'll also be doing the same thing for the other parts also, leaving the top and the bottom kind of just rough like that. Yeah, so after I was done, this is how the drape is looking. I've hemmed it already. So the next thing I'll be to go ahead now to attach the drape onto the skirt itself. And like I said, I want the drape to be by the left part of the skirt, so I'm just going to place it like so, ensuring that it goes beyond the hip line like so. And the next now will be to pin that down first, and then I'm going to go ahead now to start creating pleats and then pinning those pleats down. So I'm just going to be pleating it like so and pinning it down. So yeah, this pleat can be as tiny as possible, it can be as big as possible, just depending on your own personal preference. So now that I've pleated that down, I'm also going to go ahead and pin it down, and I'm just going to be basically repeating this for all of the fabric until I've exhausted the fabric and printed them all down onto the skirts. And here this I was looking after we're done. So I'm just going to go ahead now to stitch that down. So now I was done stitching it down. The next thing I'll be to go ahead now and join the front and the back. So for the back, I just went ahead and I held our zipper allowance down with loose stitches. I'm going to be opening it up later. So now I'm going to be placing the front and the back pattern right sides facing each other like so, ensuring that the drape just stays in between the two, front and the back, so it doesn't get in the way. I'm going to go ahead now to stitch it down with the allowance that we gave while we were cutting this out. After I was done stitching it, this is what it was looking like. So yeah, the next thing now will be to go ahead now and complete the drape. So I'm just going to go ahead now to plait it like so, but then I want it to be kind of in a slopey form. I don't want it to be perfectly straight, so that's why I kind of raised it up like so. I'm going to go ahead now to pin them down like so, just basically what I did for the other parts. Just going to go ahead now to kind of plait it down, pin it down, print it down, pin it down, and do this until I've pinned all those printed parts down. I just hope you get what I mean. And now that I'm done pinning it down, the next thing I'll be to measure the length of the drape. So yeah, this skirt, like I said, it has a band, so I'm just going to place it 1.5 inches off like so. And now I'm measuring the length of my long skirt. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the length of my long skirt is 41, so I just added 2 inches of allowance, and I'm going to go ahead now to cut it out like so. And I'm going to go ahead now to open it up and give it kind of a clean cut so that it's perfectly straight. Yeah, and that's it. The next thing I'll be doing now will be to go ahead now open the zipper allowance up like so, and then I'm going to go ahead now to stitch that down because it's still held with safety pins, stitching that down. After I was done, the next thing I'll be to go ahead now and attach our band. So for the band, I went ahead and I ironed interfacing, folded it in two and folded it by 1/2 inch as you can see. I'm just going to go ahead now to place the band and the skirt right sides facing each other like so, and stitch along that area so that when that other part is folded, it kind of just close up like so, so that we have a neat finishing there. That's what I'm going to go ahead now and do. After I was done, this is what it was looking like. I also went ahead to hold down the zipper allowance, leaving a space for our zipper and also leaving a space for our slits. The next now will be to go ahead now and hold down our slits like so. So I want mine to be kind of covered so that when I move, the other part of the fabric shows through it. So I'm just going to be overlapping it like so, and then stitching along that area so that it becomes like so. And I also going to go ahead and insert my zipper. I've also went ahead to hem the drape, and that's basically it for this skirt, looking so beautiful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do not forget to like, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on our next video. Thank you guys for watching. You can do well to try this out and send me pictures to my Instagram. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, and see you in my next video.
Say what you wanna say to me now.